committee, we've got apologies from Cathy, who is on business for the council in York. Otherwise, all members are here who are supposed to be here. Any members got any interest to declare? Admission of the public. This is a public meeting. Any deputations or petitions? None. Are there any members of the public want to ask questions? Members' question time. Bernard, you wanted to ask a question?
I'll speak for me, it's all right. Compromise, you see. Okay. Last week at the budget question time, a museum quarter was being established in Huddersfield was mentioned. I want to know what the implications of the establishment of a museum quarter would have for Tulsa Museum.
If you know what we're talking about, because I wasn't there, so I haven't got a clue what it's about.
Hi Bernard, regarding the specific question about Tulsa Museum and how that relates to the Creative Quarter, I'll get some details back to you.
Another one, Bernard? Yeah, go on.
Do you envisage Tulsa Museum closing in the next financial year?
There's no plans to close Tulsa in the next financial year.
Well, we can now say that the Conservatives have recommended it, suggested it. As in the way they report things that said at council meeting, then it obviously follows now. We put a press release out saying deny that the Conservatives suggested closing Tulsa Museum. Any other questions, Bernard?
Okay. The introduction of bus lane cameras has an effect on residents living on Wakefield Road and Penison Road in the Almondbury ward. How do we ensure people who live on these roads don't accidentally get charged for being in a bus lane if they're trying to get in and out of their drive or garage?
As this moment in time, we are to work up a strategy for bus gates, including the whole of Kirklees and bus lanes for the whole of Kirklees, and we will take into consideration access and where they're most needed.
I can add
Can you just repeat your question about, because you were specific about one particular scheme, weren't you?
I can add that Wakefield Road obviously affects both our wards, Taunton and Almondbury. The proposal in the budget is to look at some point, some bus lanes and then experiment with charging people for parking illegally in them. It's not yet determined where. There will be a project, an experiment to try this out because it's got to be looked at.
You seem to be implying, I was looking for information from a resident. I'm not trying to make a...
But just to assure you,
yeah,
it is not decided it's going to be or not going to be Wakefield Road. At the moment, none of us know. So that's an honest answer. It's a proposal in the budget to look at this and where it might be. That is not decided by the budget. It's to decide in principle that there would be might be money forthcoming from that, people behaving illegally.
Nothing wrong with that question whatsoever, Bernard. On to item 7. Sorry.
Sorry. I just want to make it, you're saying it's people not travelling in it, it's parking in the bus lane. Thank you very much. That's clear to me. Thank you.
Right, can we move on to item 7? Who's moving this?
Thank you, Chair. The report on the to report on the formal introduction from 2020-21 of the national funding formula for schools and how this will begin to impact upon local schools formula funding from 2018-2019. To request that Cabinet approve the outline details of the Kirklees Schools funding formula for 2018-19 to be submitted to the Education and Skills Funding Agency. The national funding formula now delivers at least a 0.5% rise in the per pupil funding in both 2018-19 and 2019-20, and you can see that on page 7, option 3. There's going to be better schools block national funding formula outcome than that reflected within consultation last year. Following engagement with the schools community and the schools forum, the 0.5% per pupil rise approach was adopted. See point 11, 11.1, 11.2, 11.3 and 11.4 on page 12. This will create stability, predictability for the next 2 years, and again see page 7.43. To note that the ongoing local consultation with schools and other providers to ensure an appropriate local response to the national funding formula developments. So I move that, Chair. Thank you.
Chair, thank you. First, I must remind members that if you are more than 2 months in arrears with your council tax payments, then you should not take part in this item. If you do so and you are in arrears, you are committing a criminal offence. Chair, this is the Labour Group and Cabinet's draft budget. All Cabinet members are very much aware of its content and its recommendations, as we all spent a huge amount of time and effort in preparing this report in what was a very short time frame. I have no intention, because of the work Cabinet has put in going into any detail about the report, as a real debate will be held at full Council on the 14th of February, when the Council will agree a budget. I would like to publicly thank all those officers who have worked long and hard since we received the financial settlement figure on the 19th of December to prepare this budget, and the Cabinet members who have also spent a huge amount of time in preparing this draft budget. Chair, can I move that this draft budget be presented to Council on the 14th of February?
I arrived as you were replying to the last question for Bernard. My first question, and I suppose it's to you, Graham, but don't mind who answers. I'm interested in the information in the capital plan, and there's a line talking about aspirational regeneration of major town centres. Now, it's the first we've heard of any of this. I wonder if there's any further information that can be provided. Well, in the big pack, it's page 231. So it's the Strategic Priorities Capital Plan, Appendix. If you look under Economy, Regeneration and Culture, the first line. My question was, is there any more information that can be provided about what that means? Because obviously there's no pages in the pack.
It's relating to development of town centres is an amount of money put in to plan development in the centre of Huddersfield and also in Dewsbury. We're talking, I hope we've got the same 231, have we? Yeah.
Oh, no, that's that line.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's the aspirational. Oh, yeah. No, this is an amount of money that we've got where we can plan interventions on in modest terms, predominantly in the major towns, but some of it might be used in the smaller towns, predominantly in Huddersfield and Dewsbury.
So it talks about feasibility. So I kind of suggest it's more like doing some analysis rather than spending money on doing things, is it? My second question relates to Huddersfield. I mean, when we talk about the regeneration of Huddersfield, what's the definition of Huddersfield?
Predominantly, we're talking about the town centre. What we're looking at is putting money aside for it to be available to plan together, possibly with the university, possibly with private developers, as yet detailed, not determined, but to have the money there ready to be able to spend. We want to act as a catalyst to get other developments taking place, which might involve other partners. Now, the details, quite honestly, we don't know yet. There's still discussion taking place with the private sector and also with the university. So the moment we know about this, there'll be no lack of transparency. We'll make it very clear. I'm not clear about literally where it might be. I have a good idea. We're talking predominantly about what we might do for the near where the library is now, what we might do and how it might relate to the piazza and so on. It's about that. The details of this, I honestly don't know yet. I don't think anybody else does yet. Because we're dependent on variable factors that we can't control, like what response we might get from the private sector and what response we might get from the university.
A couple of other questions on different areas, if that's all right, David. The first one's on car parking. We got monies in there in terms of what we believe we're going to achieve in terms of increased income. Is the Cabinet able to give the public a bit more detail about how they think they can achieve that income and where that's coming from? Because I know there's a lot of rumours flying around about extending car parking into other town centres or villages, etc., etc. And I think any clarity the Cabinet are able to provide would be helpful for the public. So just to answer that.
Again, not yet determined. There's a presumption that there will be savings related to a full review of all parking and all income which might be forthcoming from the main towns and possibly other centres as well. As yet, not determined. When it is, it will be announced through Cabinet. We're putting things in place to ensure that that happens. Again, the review will determine exactly what we're going to do.
So if I understood that, nothing ruled in, nothing ruled out.
Okay.
My third question, this one's for Graham again, but in terms of library provision. So, I mean, I know you're aware of this, and you'd be surprised I didn't mention libraries as I came here today. But you're aware that there is a lot of unease across the borough about the extent of the changes that you're proposing to libraries. Yeah. No, there isn't, and I'm asking whether you considered changing the amount that was going into the library cuts or not.
That was a question you'd have asked in the general bit, which you weren't here for, but I mean, that is not in this budget.
With respect, there's a 700 increase in the library budget for this.
Is there? All right.
£700,000 being put back in because, as you know, last year we agreed a budget whereby we would deliver savings this coming financial year. Because of the delays in the consultation for a number of reasons, that's obviously going to be deliverable. So some money's gone back in to tide us over while the changes are delivered from the outcome of the consultation.
No one else announcement to comment. We'll go to state when we see the amendments and we have the full debate in council, and no doubt we'll go into much more detail. All in favour of passing this on to a debate at full council? All agreed? Thank you very much, everyone.